But I don't know, maybe I'm a bit too cynical about human nature. I'll admit it, I'm kind of cynical, because when you think about it, there are some places where communist lifestyles actually seem to work. The kibbutzes in Israel, for instance, when you have certain tribes in the Amazon jungle that live a communist lifestyle. You know, the occasional group of hippies and potheads living on the beach. You know, maybe the problem was just that they went about the whole thing wrong. Because, you know, like a lot of, highbrow initiatives or things like that, it's a great idea, but it just is badly executed, and that's the problem. I mean, a bit like, those people who tried to come up with an international language, Esperanto. I mean, it's a good idea, but a bit of nonsense. Or the idea of spreading democracy around the world. It's a nice idea in principle. But the people running the communist system were essentially just a bunch of crooks and thugs who pretty much perverted everything that was good and decent about the communist ideology in the first place. I mean, if ever there was an example of power corrupting, there you have it. These people were violent and corrupt and tyrannical. They just wanted to hold on to power and live like kingpins, build themselves ludicrous palaces. While for the masses, life was essentially just bleak and miserable. They had no personal freedoms. The government was constantly brainwashing people and bothering them. They lived in soulless, grim apartments. There was never anything to buy in the shops, and what few products were available were complete junk. You had rampant industrial pollution, complete environmental degradation. In short, life under the communists was an absolute shambles. So I guess it's no surprise that eventually it just kind of imploded or kind of collapsed under the weight of its own delusions. And this great vision of utopia somehow was never realized. It's actually well summed up in the old communist joke that you can find in Ben's book, which I recommend to all. The question is, what stage comes between socialism and full communism? And the answer, of course, is alcoholism. Or to paraphrase the old classic, how do we know that Adam and Eve are Russian? Well, they have no clothes to wear, they only have an apple to eat, yet they're told that they live in paradise. But even though communism was such a complete mess, a lot of people think they were actually better off under the old communist regimes, because for many people since the fall of communism, life has actually gotten far worse. I mean, take Russia, for instance. The country's being run into the ground by a corrupt criminal elite that's looting everything they can get their hands on, while the majority of people can barely find enough to eat. I mean, it's a level of inequality and oppression that hasn't been seen since the days of the czars. It's almost like the communist revolution never happened. But maybe that's why they call it a revolution. Because once it's over, you're right back where you started. You've just gone in a complete circle. It's a bit like that haiku by Basho. Summer grasses, all that remains of great soldiers' imperial dreams. Thank you.